Well, we're so glad all of you could make it today. I know coming on a Sunday to Woodland Hills can be a bit of a schlep, so really appreciate everybody's time. My name is Jamie King. I work with the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains. And today we're going to talk about the Topanga Lagoon Restoration Project. And today for this public meeting, we're going to hopefully give you a good overview of what's been done today and where we're going next. Does anyone present would like to receive any Spanish translation support, either online or in person? If so, could you raise your hand? We have a cool crew here that's willing to support and help if that's something that anybody would like to benefit by. No?
Where's sign up for speaking?
What's that?
Signing up to speak.
Signing up to speak. There'll be time for question and answer during this meeting, so I'll go through that in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay? So hopefully for everybody that checked in person and online, you received a piece of paper with a breakout group number that's in the small lower right corner, as well as on the back side there's a place where you can take notes if you have any comments or questions. And we'll have different times when we can do some question and answer, and I'll go through the format in a minute. I'd also like to say, bienvenidos a la reunión pública del proyecto de restauración de la Laguna Topanga. Nos alegra que están aquí. ¿Alguna persona presente desea recibir asistencia con la traducción en español? Si es así, por favor, levanta la mano para que podamos ayudarle. So we both have support both online and in person if that's something you'd like. Okay. Also, if you need help utilizing Zoom for either subtitles in English or Spanish, there's direction here on screen. You see down below, there's a show captions button, which I like to use actually for most of my meetings because sometimes it's hard to hear. And then if you want to choose a language option, it's there on the right. If during the meeting you have a question that comes up, you can put it in the chat and question and answer boxes. There's going to be certain time frames and time periods when we go through those. So if you're here in person, we suggest you write them down on your piece of paper. And just we ask, this is an opportunity for all of us to share our thoughts, not only share information out, but also get feedback in this direction. And we just ask that during this, if we could all keep it civil and respectful and be sensitive of time, we really appreciate it. If we don't get every question answered today, we will have some time at the end of the meeting as well as offline. And we want to say thank you, not only for all of you coming here today to participate in this important meeting and get us back up to speed, but also to our partners and to our funders that have been involved since roughly 20 years. Thank you so much for all of your help and participation. And we'd also like to acknowledge our tribal history and culture here, both at Pierce College and for the Topanga Lagoon Restoration Site. Here at Pierce College, we want to acknowledge the Pipimaram lineage, whose descendants are citizens of the Fernandino-Tatavian Band of Mission Indians. And at the project site, we want to honor the elders of the Tongva communities past and present and their descendants, who are members and citizens of the Gabriel and the Tongva Indians of California, the San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, and the Fernandino-Tatavian Band of Mission Indians. We recognize that all of these tribes are still here, and we are committed to preserving their heritage, respecting their traditional knowledge, and lifting up their culture and community. So what are we covering here today? We do have a 2-hour program. I really hope everybody has the opportunity to participate for all of it. If you can't, we are recording it, and it will be online after the meeting. And there is a website where you can post thoughts and comments afterwards. The first hour involves 4 short presentations. It's going to go over the project overview, since it's been a year and a half since we've talked, what's going on post-fire. And then the remaining 3 short presentations are going to focus on specific design elements for the project, for both the lagoon restoration, the county beach, and then also what's happening with state parks post-fire recovery. After that, the second hour is going to be a more engagement breakout session. We're going to have 3 breakout stations. There's a little number at the bottom of your paper that identifies where we'd like people to start. We're going to circulate through the 3 stations where you have a chance to hear more detailed information, ask the experts questions, and provide your thoughts and feedback. And we want to invite you. This is a chance to share your thoughts and stories. With that, I'd like to turn this over to the project partners. This isn't a one-entity project. This involves 4 primary partners. We have the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains, California State Parks, who owns and manages on behalf of us all of the public lands you see in pink, as part of Lower Topanga State Park, Caltrans, who manages the highway, and Los Angeles County, who manages Topanga Beach through both the Department of Beaches and Harbor and the Fire Department. So I'd like to turn it over to Jasmine Reinhardt from the Resource Conservation District to introduce herself.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jamie. And I have my phone here because I have my notes on my phone. So hi, everyone. Good afternoon. As Jamie said, my name is Jasmine Reinhardt. I am the new district manager at the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I've had the opportunity to speak with a lot of you as you're walking in, so I know it's a Sunday and it was a trek getting out here, so thank you for carving out some of your time to be able to share your feedback and your perspectives with us today. So as we get started, I just want to share that the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains has had this incredible opportunity and pleasure to be the project and grant manager for this big effort that we have underway. But we're not doing it alone. We're doing it with the feedback, voices, and perspectives of the communities, and we're also doing it with partners, and some of which I'm going to be introducing shortly, like California State Parks, Caltrans, the Los Angeles County Department of Beaches and Harbors. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Richard from California State Parks to introduce himself. Thank you, Jamie, and here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richard Fink, and I'm the District Superintendent for the Angeles District of California State Parks. The mission of California State Parks is to protect the state's extraordinary biological diversity, to protect its extraordinary natural and cultural resources, and to create opportunities for world-class outdoor recreation. The Topanga Lagoon Project is a reflection of these goals and our mission statement, and was identified specifically as a goal in the 2012 State Park General Plan for Topanga State Park. So I look forward to sharing a little bit more with you about our planning efforts today, and I'm actually going to turn it over to our partner with Caltrans, Elisa.
Hi, I'm Elisa Almanzon with Caltrans Public Affairs. Caltrans has oversight for the PCH and Topanga Canyon Boulevard portions, specifically the bridge over Topanga Lagoon. Our team has providing review and feedback on the project development and design since its inception. Since 2015, the bridge has identified as a priority fish passage project by Caltrans, and this project will not only improve fish passage, but will bring an aging structure up to current standards. We are looking forward to being part of this project's development. Thank you, and up next we have Warren.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Warren Ontiveros. I'm Deputy Director with LA County Department of Beaches and Harbors. I oversee our Planning and Operational Services Division. Thank you so much for making time out of your busy lives to come and talk about this project with us. And just a little bit about our department. Our mission is simple to state, but complex to deliver. We're charged with protecting and maintaining, sustaining LA County's beaches and Marina del Rey Harbor. We have 18 beaches from Malibu to San Pedro, while providing safe and accessible recreational opportunities and ensuring our coastline is resilient for generations current and future. This mission carries through our department's stance on the Topanga Lagoon project. As one of the 3 landowner agencies that's involved, we aim to continue enhancing public access through provision of public parking, public restrooms, and other amenities, while adapting and mitigating hazards such as fire and extreme erosion that occurs in this site. And well, doing all these things, we want to support the important estuarine fish habitat that is present at the site. And it's my privilege to be here this afternoon. Looking forward to talking with many of you. And
County Fire.
I'll pass now to County Fire.
Dan.
We have Captain Murphy and
Good afternoon, I'm Dan Murphy. I'm the Marine Battalion Chief overseeing the north half of Santa Monica Bay. Work for the County of Los Angeles Fire Department. Our services are at Topanga in the station out front there. We're very excited about this project because as most of you who've been down there have seen, that station is it's under threat from erosion and sea level rise. So for us, providing prompt, skillful, cost-effective fire protection and life safety services requires a place to do that from, and we're excited to see where this goes so that we can continue with that.
Thank you, Dan. Ron Harrelson, LA County Fire. As Dan stated, we're tasked with protecting over 31 miles of beaches and everything in between that. So we've been there during the fires over the years, especially the last one here, the Palisades. So we're there on the front line, making sure that everybody's safe, doing our part. So I got a chance to meet a lot of you as you came in. Everybody's got different ideas and opinions, and we should definitely take this opportunity to hear those out today. So glad you all made it, and we're glad to be here. Thank you.
We'd also like to take the opportunity to acknowledge that we have some of our public representatives, both here in person and online. First, I'd like to acknowledge Kara Kemmler from the Coastal Conservancy. Could you stand up, Kara? And if I call your name, could you also stand up for a moment so folks see who you are? So one of our funders is here today, so just heads up. We want to thank you for being present. We also have Ryan Valencia from California Assembly Member Jackie Irwin's district with us. We also have Daniel Vicente, Field Deputy with LA County 3rd District, Office of Supervisor Lindsay Borbath, and Aruz Gregorian, Senior Field Deputy, the Office of Council Member Tracy Parks.
Could they stand up for us?
Yeah.
Or are they online?
Oh, they may have switched to online, or maybe wave, but they are here. And we also have present City of Malibu, Halen Conrad, Council Member, as well as Semi Park, Office of Council Member Bob Blumenfeld.
She's online.
She's online.
Yeah,
okay.
so some folks are online. Thank you.
And you know that you have Mary Ann Reagan's here,
Oh, I did not.
city council member?
Council member also,
Oh, thank
City
you.
of Malibu.
Thank you.
Glad you could be
And our
here.
city manager, Joe Urban.
Awesome, thank you, folks. All right, Stephanie, did you have some questions you want to share?
Yes, thanks for those introductions. We also want to now know a little bit about who else is in the room, who's joined us today to participate. So we're going to do a little bit of interactive things. So if you could take out your cell phones and either scan the QR code, it's going to take you to a website, and those online can do the same thing. I'm just going to move this screen out of the way too while y'all all get into the questions. Once you're there, you can essentially hit the either like the little thumbs up button or the love button, and then we'll go to the next question. This number here, you can always type in the www.minty.com and type in the number as well to get to that website. And if you're having a problem, just raise your hand. If anybody's not able to get into this site, just raise your hand up high, and then we're going to give some paper copies to those who aren't able to get into the website.
I think some people need Wi-Fi. Yeah, is there a Wi-Fi? No, reception.
Oh, Jelly. Jelly Kaler.
Let's go ahead and hand out the papers as we're waiting for Wi-Fi as well. And then we have one here for those who don't have the data to be able to get there. Always good to have a backup. And our Wi-Fi folks are coming in.
We had folks asking what the login was so they could do the Menti surveys.
You should need Wi-Fi.
Cellular should be okay.
Cellular should be okay to get to the Minty.
Absolutely.
But if you're not, then let's just get the paper copy out so we can do that as well.
It's not.
All right, so are most people either there or have a paper? Anybody else?
Okay.
All right, so the question that we have to ask was just to, again, understand who else is in the room today. So it should bring up a new screen that asks a question about why you're here today. What brings you to today's workshop? Do you live nearby? Do you visit the Topanga Beach area regularly? Are you interested in the restoration? Are you interested in the beach and beaches and beach access or coastal access? Are you interested in the recovery planning? Or you're just curious to learn more? Or is there some other reason? And you can answer up to 3 times.
Where are we? We have to keep going through next.
Yes.
Yeah, they have to click through the presentation to get to the question.
We'll switch that on the back end. Yeah, so go ahead and click next for a few slides. If the QR code's not there, you can see the number in the, should be here. We'll get that turned on too. The number is 7854-7537. Your enter button is just your next button on your phone.
Yeah, you're in, so you just that, you just click.
This is our good test of the tech, so thanks for hanging with us. And it looks like as folks are able to get in and be able to answer, there's a percentage and a number of people that are here really interested in the lagoon restoration, which is great to understand.
The answer button is the submit button. Right?
The submit, thank you.
It's at the very bottom. You have to scroll down.
Okay, well, this question will come up, but we'll let people catch up. We only have one more for this. What words come to mind when you think of Topanga Lagoon or the state park or the beach? And you can just type those in and then also hit submit. And folks online, it looks like, have already been putting some information in. And again, this is just a quick test for us to learn a little bit about you. And we're going to have lots of conversations after the meeting too to learn you up a little bit more. But it looks great to see, surfing, that it's beautiful, nature, wildlife, a lot about ecosystem and recreation too. So I'll turn it back over to Jane.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody. So as somebody mentioned to me outside while we're checking in, is that it's been a while since we've met. It's been 1.5 years, and the fires have come through. So we wanted to start this meeting with a project overview to catch those of you that may have familiar with the project up to speed, and for those of you that the project is new, to provide you an outline of what the project is, to ask more specific questions that interest you. So where is the project? We're located just at the end of Topanga Canyon Boulevard at the intersection with PCH, Topanga Beach, Lower Topanga State Park, just east of the city of Malibu and west of the city of Santa Monica. The project serves a lot of locals. You see families out there, a lot of surfers, folks enjoying the views as they commute, nature lovers, school groups, but it also is a regionally important project. This project site is the closest beach to a large portion of the San Fernando Valley, Hollywood, and western LA city. And so we've been trying to frame the project in terms of that, both meeting local needs as well as providing important regional resource. It's also the easternmost point of the Santa Monica Mountain National Recreation Area. If you're coming from the coast, it's been identified as an important visitor service access point by California State Parks in their general plan. And we know currently we get about 1 million visitors per year is the county's best estimates to Topanga Beach. And we just expect that need and access to the coast to increase over time. And it's also a really important location, not just for our recreation purposes, but we have some really rare and unique plants and animals and ecosystems present, as well as cultural resources that are really unique to the area that are being held for the public trust by the landowners. We want to acknowledge that. So why are we proposing to do this project? The reasons are manifold. They range from public safety concerns, from proactive sea level rise response, to addressing some of the harms to the cultural and natural resources and looking at nearshore nourishment. There are many reasons, and I'm going to briefly hit on those key points. If you want more information, our project overview and our project website has it, as well as you can talk to any of our team here today. So from a public safety perspective, we know right now we have folks that are running across the PCH from the north side to the south to get to the beach. And so the project's trail system is going to address that. But on a more localized level, we have a lifeguard facility that is providing not only daily emergency response if there's a beach issue, but during events like the Palisades Fire, they're providing more area-wide response. And so for them to be able to quickly access the helipad that's currently on the left side of the screen, which is the west side of the site, from the lifeguard building is currently really challenging. They're having to either navigate an open creek mouth or they're having to cross over PCH, which at no time is easy to do, but definitely not during some of our high traffic periods. The project also is acknowledging that sea level rise is a really big deal for both homeowners and facilities all along the coast. If you drive along this section of PCH, you see the K-rail and erosion where the waves are coming right up against the highway. For our side, you see here this image is showing some of the projections of what sea level rise is anticipated to do over the next 50 plus years. So it's a key item we're hoping to address by this project. The facilities on site that are managed by the Department of Beaches and Harbor and County Fire are being actively hit by storm waves. So we have erosion that's occurring not only to the facilities, to the beach, and we want to have those public resources there present over the long term. And so this project is trying to address that. We also know that as our populations grow, there's a real interest and need to provide easy access to the coast, not just to the beach areas, but also to this big open space area associated with Topanga State Park. And the project is trying to address that to both provide more increased amenities at the beach, but also to develop some on State Park's property in a coordinated way. Parking that exists there now, and this was even pre-fire, is muddled and challenging. There's free parking along the PCH, and there's centralized parking, paid parking, both associated with State Park County properties, but it's just the center portion of the beach. And folks are using all portions of the beach and project area. And so the project is trying to address that and make it easier to get there. And then once you get to the beach, you don't have to walk a really long ways with your family or friends. Also, from an ecosystem and natural resources perspective, over 95% of our coastal lagoons have been destroyed over the last 150 years in California, in part because they're beautiful places to be. And so this project is taking what's currently a half-acre lagoon that used to be 30 acres and getting as much room as we can that makes sense given our current modern life. We're going to be putting in an 8-acre restoration area and then enhancing an additional 30 acres. The picture on the right, you're seeing the upland areas of California State Park's property. The oak woodland is beautiful, but unfortunately the understory is almost 90% invasive weeds because of the history of development in the area. And so the project seeks to address that. And we can't leave out the 2 endangered fish that are not only successful in Topanga Lagoon, but really they're the most successful there for all of the areas within the Santa Monica Bay. We have steelhead trout actually breeding there. And that's the only place that we know of at this time, but it's still occurring in the Santa Monica Bay. So super vital. And finally, we want to have this project take the opportunity to interpret and acknowledge our cultural resources that are present and give the visiting public an opportunity to learn more and engage in those stories. So in a nutshell, this project got started probably in a focused way in 2004 when Caltrans did a study to look at, what is the possibility to replace the bridge and address some of these ecosystem and safety concerns. Baseline studies were done between 2019 and 2021, and 4 public charrette meetings were held, similar to this, where folks had a chance to come and talk about what their thoughts and concerns were, provide feedback. The environmental phase occurs from 2022 to 2024, where 4 alternatives were proposed. There were 4 different public meetings where folks had the opportunity to provide feedback. We received over 100 comment letters from the public and regulatory agencies, and State Parks and the project team considered all of those and came up with and identified a preferred alternative and a certified project in September of 2024. What are the key elements of this project? There are many, and can you see my cursor as I move it across the screen? Okay, so the first kind of biggest item is to basically address some of the issues with the existing bridge. Although solid and strong, it was built in the 30s, I always get that wrong, 20s or 30s. It's only 79 feet long. The proposal is to replace that with a 440-foot long bridge. One, to allow fish passage, it allows creation of a larger lagoon, but also creates a higher bridge that's safer for issues like tsunami and other environmental considerations. On the south side and so with that, you're able to get a restored 8-acre lagoon from what's currently a half. On the south side, on the county side, we're proposing a lot of activities that protect from sea level rise, protect the long-term ability of the public to come. So the lifeguard building and county facilities are being pushed inland, so they have a much longer lifespan. The lifeguard building is being elevated so that the lifeguards can see the entire beach versus only a portion of it. And the helipad is going to be co-located with that lifeguard building so that the response times are down and quick. And so we can have the response times we need. There's going to be improved and expanded public parking, both on the west side. There's currently a dirt lot that's going to be developed into parking, as well as on the east side, all along Topanga Canyon Boulevard, parking is proposed to allow the public both for visiting and to easily access the beach. There'll be a unified trail system that connects both the north and south sides of the project, so people can travel on the east or the west side of the creek, regardless of whether the creek mouth is open, and get to different project areas and be able to truly enjoy the beautiful open space areas. We also are proposing to underground utilities so that we have a safer environment both for fire and for aesthetics for the visiting public. All of these items are summarized on this slide. Then the Palisades Fire hit, right? So we were ready to go to start with design in September of 2024. The Palisades Fire hit, as we know, a lot of damage. Unfortunately, state parks lost all of their buildings. County had damage, but their buildings were retained. And so really everybody had to take a moment and pause and really assess, like, can we continue with this project? Should we continue with this project? And if we do, is it going to have the same sort of format that was approved as part of the EIR process? In summary, except for one element, the project is anticipated to proceed as proposed in the EIR process. The one item that we're having to take another look at is, what does state park visitor services look like? State parks lost all of their building, not only in this project area, but for a lot of Topanga State Park and Will Rogers. And so they're proposing to do a post-fire recovery planning process to really get public feedback on that. And so that when we look at implementing design here, we're really considering, what the public feels and wants and what would be in the best interest. So today, where are we? We're going to be talking about 3 different kind of design phases. We have different teams working on different elements. We have a team working on the bridge and lagoon efforts led by Moffitt and Nickel, who's here today. We have State Parks going to give a little update on what's going on with the State Parks recovery planning process. And we're going to talk in a lot of detail today about what are the current proposals for Topanga Beach. And all of these 3 elements come together into one united project and vision that is both addressing our natural resource protection, cultural resource interpretation, as well as improving and enhancing public safety and recreation. Schedule-wise, if things continue to go well, we're looking at finishing 100% design by the end of 2027. There is some funding we're looking for to finish design. And again, if we find the funding and there's continued support, the earliest we would go to construction would be 2029 after the Olympics. It doesn't make sense to try to do anything before the Olympics. And construction would be a 5-year process. And with that, I'd like to pass it back to Stephanie. We have some questions we want to ask you.
Yeah, just a couple of quick ones. So when you go back to your cell phones, or you can use the paper copy, we wanted to understand what out of the project goals, which ones you feel are most important, which ones are most important to you. So you can go back to the phone and it should take you to this question. If it doesn't, just flip through. Looks like some people are answering already, but out of those, is it public safety, emergency services, goals related to storm damage, sea level rise response, the need for coastal access, nearshore nourishment, endangered fish refuge, rare habitat restoration, or to protections of the tribal and cultural resources? Or is there something else that's really important to you about this project? We'll let people take just a minute to provide their feedback. And as it's coming in, it looks like the rare habitat restoration, along with some of the endangered fish refuge, is ticking up. Coastal access and storm damage responding to sea level rise is also up there as well.
It looks like there's some others, so we'll definitely want to make sure we get your feedback on the other.
What was the absent? Yeah, just raise your hand and we'll get you a paper copy too to make sure that we get those in. So a couple more paper copies over here as well.
Got one person over here in the corner.
All right, we'll make sure that those get.
We only get to select
3. You should be able to select 3. And these are also combining the input of those online as well. So, and again, just to touch base, we really want to be able to talk with you about your responses as well. So look forward to hearing a little bit more later.
Good afternoon. I'm Wei Xiajin, Principal Coast Engineer with Moffett and Nickel. We are leading the lagoon and bridge design, so I will update you on the design. Do I advance? Click on.
Just be able to click the arrow.
Oh, the arrow. Maybe that was. Oh, this one. Okay, thanks. The project proposed to remove fuel placed in the lagoon in 1930s when the current PCH bridge was constructed to expand the lagoon ecosystem from currently less than 1 acre to 8 acres, to improve fish passage, to create additional fish refuge areas, and also to basically to establish ecologically appropriate habitat for the species. As you just responded, is that the real habitat is very important aspect of the project, and also expand the bridge to accommodate the restoration. And a few changes have occurred since the environmental document was posted, and the purpose was to improve the hydraulics and also adapt to natural hazards that have occurred. In Area A, the grading has been smoothed to improve the hydraulics.
Could you talk in the microphone a little more?
Oh, okay.
A little slow.
Oh, okay. So Area A, grading has been adjusted to improve hydraulics, and the January 2023 storm has scoured, eroded the banks of the creek in Area B and D. So the lagoon grading has been adjusted to reflect the current eroded condition. And also, the 2020 fire burned down many trees, so RCD performed a post-fire survey, and the grading has been adjusted to protect remaining trees and also to improve the drainage. This is the overall view of the proposed lagoon grading, and the black lines are the proposed contour lines. And the material excavated from the lagoon has been tested and also has been approved by resource agencies for nearshore placement to nourish the beach, to reduce potential erosion from coastal hazards, and it will be placed in the image to the right in the brown square area. And this is additional detailed view on existing and future cross-sections. Two cross-sections are shown. In the image to the left, you see two lines. The 400 cross-section is immediately south of the bridge, and 550 is under the bridge. And to the right, you will see that two cross-sections. The dashed line in this section are existing lagoon surface, and the solid line on the bottom are the proposed after excavation lagoon surface. So the beige area will be excavated. As you can see, nearly 20 feet of material will be removed to be placed near shore.
Where?
Near shore in the ocean, about 15 to 20 feet depth.
You're going to put that dirt out in the ocean.
That's what she's doing.
It's been
250,000 cubic yards, just so we're clear.
yes, we can respond to your question later. The material has been tested, and it's a good quality material to be placed near shore. So sea level rise has been analyzed and designed following state guidance, and 3 different sea level scenario has been considered based on guidance that, and also different facility have different service lives. That's also be considered. For example, for lifeguard building and the bridge, a 75-year design life have been considered in the design. And this is the sea level rise inundation view during a 100-year storm. There are 3 shades of colors. The darker color is under the current condition during the 100-year storm, and the lighter bluish color show additional inundation with 3.3 feet of sea level rise. This is projected to occur in year 2085. And the pink shaded areas are additional inundation if 5 feet of sea level rise would occur, and that is projected to occur in year 2105. As you can see that the existing lifeguard building will be impacted by a 100-year storm under current condition, and it will be inundated with rising sea level. And the proposed lifeguard building and the restrooms is going to be located in this yellow area, and the helipad will be located here, and access road is this beige area. The proposed facility will be resilient during their service life. And the bridge is currently under 90% design. The 90% design will be done in about 4 months. Today I will share with you about the bridge design and also bridge aesthetics. This is the bridge visualization. To the left is the existing condition, and to the right is the proposed condition. If you look at the upper part of the left, the existing bridge is 2 concrete box culvert. It's very short, 79 feet, and so it can only support very narrow habitat. And the proposed bridge is much longer, and it's expanded to support lagoon restoration. It will support a much larger habitat. And the longer bridge also increase the resiliency by lowering the flood water level in the lagoon by 5 feet during 100-year storm event. And also the bridge will be a little higher, so it is resilient to the coast hazard, including extreme tides, wave, and tsunami. And this is the section view. The section view of the bridge. As you can see, the green shaded area is the existing bridge. It's very short, 79 feet. And the proposed bridge is going to be 440 feet long with a center span of 200 feet and 120 feet long side span. The longer span is to accommodate the fish passage or improve the fish passage by reducing the velocity. And the shaded area in pink is the area that material will be excavated to create a lagoon. And in this image shows structural design, bridge section. The upper is existing condition, and the lower is the proposed bridge. As you can see, the proposed bridge is going to be 36.5 feet wider than the existing bridge. A wider bridge was recommended through a value analysis process and by value analysis team. The main reason is with the wider bridge, the bridge can be constructed in 2 phases or rather than 3 phases, which will allow to reduce construction duration for the bridge by 6 months. And it will also eliminate the need of temporary bridge which need to be constructed through the lagoons. That will reduce temporary construction impact. And the reason is with the wider bridge, when the southbound lanes of bridge being constructed, the traffic can be shifted to the north on the widened part, so that 4-lane traffic can be maintained throughout the construction. This was also being done in Trancas for the Trancas Bridge. There are sidewalks on both sides of the existing bridge, but beyond the bridge currently there is no sidewalk. The proposed project will provide also 2 sidewalks on the bridge, but be a little bit wider sidewalk, and will also provide a sidewalk along north of the PCH from the bridge to Topanga Canyon Boulevard. This segment of PCH is designated as Class 3 bike route per county's general plan. The proposed project will match the existing Class 3 designation. Class 3 designation means that bikes and vehicles will share the outer lane. The proposed project will provide a 12 feet wide standard lane compared to the current condition is 10 feet. For this segment of PCH, currently there are street lights on the on side of the road. The proposed project will also provide a street light on the bridge. However, the light design will be designed to avoid light spill over to the lagoon, so balancing between safety and also dark night sky. And then next I will share the bridge aesthetics. The project team has been working with resource agencies and the tribal community on bridge aesthetics, and the team selected the sand brown for the bridge, and also it is going to use Caltrans integral concrete color. What does that mean is you would add color to the concrete mix. So the entire bridge will have the same color. If you have a chip erosion here, will not change the bridge color. Also, the pipeline you see is the main water line, the water main, that will be also painted to match this color. And for the bridge columns, which will be about 8 feet in diameter, and wing walls, the design team has been considering to incorporate a simple wave pattern as shown. And also about the bridge rail, the standard Caltrans bridge rail has been selected the standard rail meets the crash resistance requirement and also protect views from the bridge to the ocean. This has been approved by California Coast Commission. I think next, Stephanie will come up, ask a few more questions.
Yeah, just 2 questions quickly back on your phones or either on the paper copy about what is your reaction to the lagoon restoration vision. So this is a spectrum question, whether you're very excited about it or if you have concerns. Again, a prompt to help us understand as we have follow-up conversations a little bit more one-on-one, where we want to be able to make sure we're talking to people and what kind of questions we're asking and making sure to connect with you. The QR code is on the screen to the left as well, so feel free to tag it there. And again, you can use your paper copy. So overall, on the excited side of the spectrum in terms of being able to think about where you are in terms of thinking about lagoon restoration. We'll wait just another second or 2 as people in the room look like some are doing it by paper, which is great. We'll add those into this as well. But again, this is really just to let us understand a little bit more about where you're at in terms of the lagoon restoration piece. The second question is, out of the benefits of lagoon restoration, which feel most important to you? So there's 3 options: improving ecological health, flood resilience, the beauty, the natural beauty improvements, improvements to coastal resiliency, or the opportunities for education and stewardship, or if there's another benefit that you feel is really, really important. Again, you can select up to 3 answers, and again, just an opportunity for us to get a little bit of understanding about, you know, where your values are, where you think the most benefits for lagoon restoration are. And we'll wait just a minute or two, a few seconds, as folks are able to add those prompts, and then we'll turn it over to State Parks in just a second to give us an update there.
I just had one announcement. I forgot to give some housekeeping directions. I apologize. If you're hungry and thirsty, snacks, coffee, water, please take advantage. The restroom is located here, so if you want to come through, just feel free to. It might be easiest to go around and come directly through this way. Sorry, I didn't mention that up front.
No, thank you. And it looks like a little bit of a split. So the two highest answers so far, again, we'll be adding in the paper responses from the room, but the improvements to ecological health and then also coastal resiliency as a whole is being really important. And now I'll turn it over to Richard.
Thank you. The Palisades Fire in January of 2025 had a substantial impact on both Topanga State Park and Will Rogers State Historic Park. At Topanga State Park, over 8,000 of the 11,000 acres of the park were burned in the fire. That primarily included about 8,000 acres of natural resources, and unfortunately also included the location we are discussing today, the Topanga Ranch Motel or Lower Topanga location, where we saw a significant loss in terms of infrastructure. There were 6 businesses lost, a number of operations building, as well as a residence, and of course just numerous prized natural and cultural resources. So since the fire, California State Parks has been underway for a post-fire recovery effort. We've been working with government partners across both of these park units to safely restore visitor conditions. And in addition, we have launched, I'll explain in a second, a collaborative community-wide planning process to gather feedback on the future of these 2 park units. So after the fire, we went through a phase of our initial stabilization. For those of you from the area, you may have seen elements of this. Both Topanga State Park and Will Rogers State Park played an active role in the community's recovery post-fire. Both locations served as temporary debris removal locations at various phases throughout the fire. And both contributed substantially to the quick cleanup of the Pacific Palisades and the removal of debris from the lots. In addition, State Parks has also been clearing debris and remediating the parks for visitor use. In November 2010, California State Parks reopened Will Rogers State Historic Park to the public. That was after a period of extensive soil testing and air quality monitoring, and since that time we've been activating that park with greater event frequency, community activities, and it's been really nice to see the public back, as bittersweet as it is. So our current phase that we are at is actually the green icon here in the process. We are about to embark on our recovery planning, and we get a lot of questions, both Topanga and Will Rogers. Are the businesses going to rebuild? Are you going to rebuild Will Rogers Ranch House? When will trails open? What facilities will you have? And rather than State Parks stand here as an agency and tell you what we think we should do, we want to take a step back and engage the community on the planning and recovery for both of those park units. And as we do that, we want to use this planning process to inform how we're recovering broadly across those 2 park units.
Are you talking about all of Topanga State Park from the summit to the ocean?
I'm talking about all of Topanga and Will Rogers State Historic Park. So we have launched a community planning process. I have the QR code right here. If you don't get it from the screen, we also have it in the back too, and I'll be available for questions. This is really the launch and the first step in our recovery. If you go to this website, it's myinput.com/Topanga-Will-Rogers. On that site, you can leave your information to participate in upcoming stakeholder meetings. You can contribute photos and memories to these park units. We're already seeing a good response there. And most importantly, you have an opportunity to indicate what it is of interest that you want to participate or learn more about with the planning. For Topanga State Park, some of the topics that we're already seeing are of interest are the restoration potentially of visitor amenities on site. State Parks, as part of this project, has intended to create a visitor center at the corner, low-cost overnight accommodations, trail system, other educational and interpretive elements. Those are all things we want to move forward with, and we want to get your input on the types of activities you want to see. We want to get your input on the return of other facilities like the businesses, Will Rogers Ranch House, potential museum building. Pretty much it's a clean slate for everybody to voice their opinion. But our overall planning process for Topanga and Will Rogers really is aligned step by step and side by side with this Topanga Lagoon Restoration Project. The feedback that you give as part of this process today and moving forward will be included and integrated into the larger park planning process. So, today as you're giving feedback on what you're seeing here, feel free to also share larger goals and vision that you have for both park units. Okay, I think that's it for me, and I'll be available for questions later. Thank you. Turning it over to Chantel.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chantal Alatorre with LA County's Department of Beaches and Harbors. As you've heard this afternoon, this is quite a large project divided up into more or less 3 sections. We just spent some time learning about the Caltrans portion, which is the bridge, and then also state park updates now. I will be giving an update on the Topanga Visitor Services in partnership with Stephanie, who will come up in a minute. So on your screen, you have existing conditions of what the facility looks like. We have 4 different images that you can see. The one on the bottom right you can see is the existing lifeguard building, fire lifeguard building. And then we have a couple of benches spread out around the facility as well. What we're hoping to do with this project, as you can see our goals outlined on the screen, really the intent behind the beaches portion of the project is to restore coastal lagoon habitat, preserve cultural resources, enhance coastal access and your experience, as well as improve coastal resilience. So with these project goals in mind, I'm going to invite Stephanie to come up and give us an overview of where we are with the design now at 30%.
Thank you, Chantal. And again, I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, but Stephanie Grigsby, for those who I did introduce myself to. I'm with Design Workshop, and we are with a team of consultants. We're landscape architects, but with us in the room is Hector and Taka from Frederick Fisher Partners, KPFF for civil engineering, RAA for interpretive design, and a suite of other team members. As we walk through the 30% design progress for Topanga Beach, we're going to orient you and talk about the western beach area, and then the central beach area, and then the eastern beach area. But bigger than the beach is also just the overall connectivity of the site. So from the Topanga Beach to Topanga State Park, one of the opportunities that's afforded to us with the bridge and lagoon restoration piece is to be able to enhance that connectivity and enhance accessible access between those 2 properties. So as you're coming in, even parking, on Pacific Coast Highway, making your way either to the north, being able to find accessible routes down to the beach on the Pacific Ocean side, and then also be able to connect through and have an interpretive opportunity trail with the lagoon restoration as we're crossing Topanga Creek. So we're going to start on the western beach side. Here you can see the existing photo aerial. The area shown in red here is generally the area of the enhanced parking. So that is a current dirt lot in that location. And then the bridge restoration, lagoon restoration will essentially come to the western portion of that slope. We'll be maintaining pedestrian access down and be able to, again, provide that pedestrian access underneath the bridge to the north to the Topanga State Park side. When we look at what that looks like in perspective, these are conceptual perspectives, but just to give a sense of the location of the parking and the improvements as you're connecting down to the beach, you can see the parking up at the Pacific Coast Highway location, the bridge improved connecting across, and then the lagoon restoration to the east. We're taking that, if you look in the lower left right-hand corner of the image, you can see that key map where that image is taken from. Thinking about what that looks like from cross-section, so from the left side of this image up at the improved enhanced parking location, the restoration of the slope and being able to have both pedestrian access and then also maintaining beach access for emergency use and also for maintenance. And then being able to restore the slope while maintaining the existing beach. The second area that we want to talk about is that central location for the beach visitor services. So that's in the lower right-hand corner. You can see that orange area where the current lifeguard restroom building is, helipad, and some of the other facilities. As we talked before, you heard from Weija a little bit about sea level rise, and you heard from Jamie about sea level rise. Those are some of the elements that really drove some of the refinement of the plan that you're seeing today. So by key you into the dark brown, dark red location of the existing restroom tower, as Weija talked about, that will be impacted by sea level rise along with the beach access road. So by shifting this building to the north, we're able to provide resiliency in its new location, along with, again, including a new helipad to enhance the emergency access, emergency response opportunities, and then slightly modifying the beach access road to be able to allow it also to be a little bit more resilient as well in terms of elevation. Some of the other elements that you'll see in the illustrations that we'll show are generally the same, so really trying to keep the same character and experience that Topanga Beach has, while just making it more resilient so it can last for many, many more years. You can see here also, that expansion of the bridge, that widening of the bridge, and that ability to have lagoon restoration. And we'll talk a little bit later in the breakout groups, but thinking about the opportunity for living shorelines to be able to be integrated. So again, in section, you can see that move from the inundation of the existing lifeguard tower here in the dark brown, shifting that to the north or to the east, to the right on this page, to the yellow location. What that does, you can see on the right where the existing parking is along the Pacific Coast Highway. This affords the building here to really serve as that transition from beachside level, which is generally here where that beach access road is, to the upper parking to the right.
So the lifeguard station is on the parking lot?
Correct. It's going to be above, so I'm flipping you around. I apologize for flipping views of the section here, but if I go back one, this yellow building here, I'm going to flip it around so you're viewing it from the other location, but this is the proposed lifeguard tower and restroom building. So lifeguard towers are below. So the parking lot is up here. We're using the slope in between that upper parking and the beach access road to essentially, surgically insert the building. The restroom is in front. Because of the elevation change, you actually have it affords the opportunity to use that upper area above the restroom as a new lookout area, so that as you're coming into the parking, you have a chance to actually capture a view, seating area to look out over the surf conditions and over the ocean. And then just behind, you can see the lifeguard tower itself. So I'm going to take a enlarged look there where you can see the beach overlook. The parking, Pacific Coast Highway, is just to the left here. Restroom is underneath this beach lookout. and then protected with some different strategies in terms of trying to make sure that we have security around the beach. The lifeguard tower itself is just next adjacent to the restroom. A pedestrian area, again, looking at the resiliency where we have to raise the elevation of the lifeguard building and the restroom building to be able to allow for it to be in this location and above the sea level rise opportunities. Looking at those pieces in perspective, again, lifeguard tower beyond, this beach lookout has the restroom area below. You can see the beach access, the ADA parking, accessible parking here is generally in the same location as it is today, with the picnic area shifted on the south side of the existing ADA parking.
Where's the helipad?
There's going to be another view I think that will capture it, and if not, we can go back and we can always talk a little bit more in detail after this too to dial in. This is looking west. Pacific Coast Highway here is to my right. Generally existing parking here in the same location. The lifeguard tower shifted from beach, so essentially between the current beach access road and parking. And you can see that area that I was talking about, the overlook just beyond. There's two different beach access stairs that you can see, one on the east side of the shifted lifeguard tower and restroom building, and one on the west side. The entry access locations to those stair accesses are actually generally in the same location as they are today, the first stair, second stairs. First stair is generally over here to the left, and second stair to the right. You can see again the stacking of the program as it's pulled away to provide that additional resiliency, and then lifted in elevation. So we have stairs coming up to restrooms, a ramp coming up on the west side, and then stairs and access for the lifeguard tower, storage, garage for the lifeguards to also provide better amenities for them. This is looking backwards, back the other way, looking east. So you can see that beach access road coming down. Again, generally in the same air alignment as it is today, just slightly modified, again, to meet some of the grading elements. And then just to here is the question about the helipad. So the helipad is just to the left here, and you can see it in the little key map. Just to the left of the orange element is where the helipad is. Slope restoration coming back, upper parking area, which is, again, generally the parking area that it is today. Our final location, the Eastern Beach Access location, this is at the intersection of the PCH and Topanga Canyon Boulevard. It really looks to enhance the bus stop and provide a new access point to the beach. So you have stairs coming down from what is the existing bus stop down to the beach. This is that look in section, looking towards the east, looking towards the intersection where having a bus shelter, the stairs coming down the slope with a small spot for a lookout as well, for people to come down, stop, look at the coast, and be able to continue to the beach. And finally, a look at that location in perspective, just conceptual imagery, enhancement of that bus stop. Generally today, that bus stop is essentially a sign on a pole. So being able to provide a place for people to sit, provide accessible access for people to be able to get on and off the bus at that location.
Will that protect people from rain?
The bus stop should both shade, and it's a great comment. If rain is important, that we look at that as part of that shelter design too. I think as we go back to, just looking overall at the overall, takeaways for the 30% design, again, looking at really making sure that we're using the facilities that are there and just enhancing what's there for them to serve the people better. And so that's today what we really want to hear from you is, how are you using the beach? What works well? And, if you could change one thing, what might that be? How we might be able to use this project to make that better. And as we're making these enhancements too, we're really trying to make sure that, the beach berm that the lifeguard station stays on, if I go back to that elevation, that it stays intact. So we're not revising that grading in any way so that surf condition stays the same. So with this piece, with shifting the lifeguard station, that brown location to the north or to the east or right of this image, that the grading there stays the same so that the essentially the surf condition at that point would not be impacted. So I know you all have been listening for so long. We have one more question, and then we really wanted to be able to have some questions here and then be able to break and have a little bit more one-on-one conversations around the room too. But the next steps for the Topanga Beach design process is really around continuing to elevate the interpretive design. We have a station in the room for that to get your feedback. Also integrating the living shoreline design component. So, a station just specifically around understanding, again, how you're using the beach, what needs to be protected, what those opportunities might look like, and then advancing our design from 60 to 90 to 100%. So one final question on your phone or on your papers before we do a really short Q&A and do a break. But based on what you've seen, again, this is 30% design, so we're in schematic, advancing to the more detailed pieces. Some of the big component moves are likely set, but overall, how well does it align with your needs to visit the beach? From not at all well or extremely well. Just trying to get just a general sense as we continue to move on into design. And with that, yes.
Is there going to be a raised walkway from the land side of the PCH to the beach? Because I saw something like a trail, but will it be a raised one if the water's running?
It will be out of the floodplain. So as it comes underneath the bridge, it will be at an elevation that is resilient. It'll be at a 17, so it won't be in the flood zone in that zone. Great question. I think we probably have time for, we'll say, maybe 5 minutes. So if we take questions up until 3 and then do a break so we can break in and get some more specific one-on-one questions and get your comments on the map. We'd love to understand. Could I get a sense of how many people have questions that you'd like to answer right answer now? So about 3. Okay, so let's do those, 4 or 5. We'll start here and then work our way across if that's okay.
Is there any provision for a water reservoir for dealing with the future fires that we're going to be dealing with within the property boundaries of the entire project, like a reservoir, with maybe 500,000 gallons of water that could be used?
Okay, I'm going to repeat your question for the folks online too, just in case that they can hear. And then I'm going to invite our partners up just in case there's a technical question. But the question was about a reservoir for fire response and whether there is going to be designed was, as part of this project, a reservoir to be able to provide fire response. From my understanding, and I'll look for our partners, Rosie, did you want to answer that one?
I'm sorry, I was addressing another question.
No, that's okay. Our question is about a fire reservoir, whether there is going to be a reservoir designed on site.
Or cistern or tank. Or cistern tank, great.
So no, there is a fire hydrant though, and so the helipad, we've been told by Drew Smith that they would use this as, like a backup place because they have Bravo 69 on the hill above. And so the advantage of the helipad that is proposed is that it can handle all the weight of those big helicopters that carry the water, so that if they need it, they can use it. So it's set up as a backup, but it's not a primary role. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
Just, we always have the ocean.
Wait a second.
Yeah, we can snorkel from it.
So that's the beauty of that, is just having that ocean water available to us. Our helicopters can snorkel. It's a quick turnaround, quick response. So water at that point is not an issue, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, next I think we had one. Yes.
Will there be existing parking spots taken away for EV charging spaces like they did?
Good question. Jamie has been dutifully counting every single spot on both Pacific Coast Highway, Topanga Canyon, and in parking lots. We will need to meet EV requirements, but it is a goal for us to make sure we're net neutral on any change.
And I do want to address no parking spots were taken away, net parking spots were taken away for EV. There is EV infrastructure installed, but those are going to be EV optional spots because we don't want to have EV only right now. We don't see the need for that. That's particularly on the county beach side.
Thank you. Here.
Just a quick question on what is the status of any of the trout or gobies? Did they make it? Or what will be the status in terms of the repopulating of this species that we're claiming is an endangered species that should be living there now?
So I have really good news on that. The question was, what's the status of the trout and the goby populations at this point in time? And the good news is that we brought the gobies back after 6 months of spring break where they overate and they had to have their food cut back because they were getting too fat. They came back and the gobies are all good and they're doing their thing and happy. We were a little more worried about the trout because the habitat in the upper portion of the watershed was completely burned. And the debris flows that came after were really intense. So we rescued 277 of the 500 that we had counted before the fire. Those got transported by alien abduction up to the Arroyo Hondo watershed in the Central Coast, where, much to our great amazement, they actually reproduced that year. Wow. And had babies. And so they're happy, joy up in Arroyo Hondo. And then in November of 2025, we were finally able to get back in to do a snorkel survey because we had not been able to get in because the slope instability was too dangerous for our crew to walk through the creek. We would be, I mean, when we went in to do habitat mapping, we had to wear hard hats. I've never worn a hard hat to do creek mapping before, but you know, you live and learn. But much to our incredible amazement, out of 5,300 meters of habitat, we had 200 meters left with pools that went about to my knee, and there were 30 survivors. They were between 6 and 8 inches, so young juveniles, not huge adults, and they made it. They made it through the fire, and they made it through the debris flow.
That black flow?
And that black flow, and as of a week ago, they had 50 babies. So, yay, Topanga trout!
So will the other ones, thank you, Rosie. Will you just let that be the spawning place now, or will you bring back any of the others?
So that's the question was whether we'll actually bring other trout back. I don't know yet. The habitat is still not that great. I mean, they're still in that 200-meter stretch, which definitely looks better after 32 inches of rain, but it's not great. So the habitat's recovering slowly, but it's not enough yet to bring a bunch more fish back.
So will it be better after the restoration?
Yeah, so what's really important about the restoration and the trout is that right now with the bridge the way it is, the velocity of the water coming out through the bridge opening is so strong that the fish who are in the sea trying to come in to get upstream to spawn, they can't do it because the water's too forceful and they're not strong enough to swim, and there's no like resting places or refugia. And so the thing about the restoration that, you know, from the fish point of view is actually, from my point of view, very important, is that we still have the same rain-driven connectivity. So we're not changing the beach berm in front of the lagoon in any way. We're not changing the connectivity between the lagoon and the ocean. Mechanically, what we're doing is spreading things out so that it will take a little longer and a little more rain to initially create the break, but once it connects, it will stay connected longer and provide greater windows of time when the velocity is low enough that the fish can actually get through. It provides almost 7 more acres of area where there's going to be low-level flows so that the fish can come in, they can rest and transition from the ocean salinity, that's 34 parts per thousand, to the creek salinity, which is 0, which is a huge osmotic transformation. So it gives them what they need to be able to more successfully come and go. And to just give you a kind of perspective, southern steelhead trout are genetically distinct from the Santa Maria River, which is, at the border of Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo counties, all the way to the Mexican border, 500 kilometers of coastline. This year we had 13 anadromous steelhead total. 13 in that whole stretch, and 12 of them were in the San Ynez River. So to say that this is a species that needs as much habitat and accessibility as we can give them just doesn't even begin to go there. And Topanga is the last place, even with the fire, where we have these fish that are surviving, reproducing, and doing their thing. So, I kind of call them the field of dreams fish. If you make the habitat good, they'll come and they'll stay.
They'll stay longer.
They'll stay longer. So, thanks.
Would you give a projection on how many new fish because of this restoration?
No, I don't think we could do that because it really depends on so many variables. The changes in the ocean, the changes in sea level, changes in so many things. So no, I don't think I can make a projection on how many more fish we would get, but I do know that we would have much more opportunity for any adult steelhead that's cruising by to get into or out of the system, which is really critical.
Does the lagoon have to be flowing out to the ocean?
It has to be connected and it has to have sufficient depth that the fish can make their way in and out.
So during the non-rainy years, or months,
they don't get in and out. So
that's about.
So that's the normal situation. The normal situation is that the breach berm closes. This is an intermittent berm, and so the natural condition is that it closes during the summer months when we don't have any rain, and it opens during the rainstorms. And that's what it's done for thousands of years. So what we're doing is helping it get back to where it was.
And you think it is possible that the water that's going out during a rainstorm from our Topanga Canyon, all that watershed, isn't so forceful that it'll impede the activity of break?
So I think we'll talk about this
Yeah,
in the breakout.
before we get into the fine details, I know we had like 5 different questions here, and we did have one online that I wanted to.
Usually
during the rainy season.
So, can you give me a couple months?
November through March.
So before we get into the fine details, I do think we could have a subsection, just talk all things with Rosie about some of the fine details of that. There was a question online, one that supported getting a fireboat for the coast. I want to just acknowledge that around the cistern question. A question around asking about what material is being considered for the Topanga Beach parking lots, the access for pedestrian walkways. We are looking at the opportunity to see for permeable, understanding where there's lower, essentially hardened dirt walkways at times, but also needing to understand the longevity of those too. So, roadways themselves would likely be paved, but the walkways, as much as we can, we're trying to look at those materials, but that's in the next phase of design, working with the county. We had a couple of questions here. I do want to have time for people to be able to be able to connect at the stations too, but yeah, we'll take maybe. I know we had 3. We'll try 3 questions.
So as the bridge stands now, there's parking on the bridge. Okay. As the bridge stands now, there's free parking on the street bridge side. With the 460 feet of bridge, there will no longer be parking that's free. Is that correct?
Do you want to?
Good question. The question was, are we losing any parking on the bridge with the project, which is currently free? We are not. So the bridge, it will be widened for 2 reasons. One, so it allows that when construction is occurring, we're not affecting traffic on the PCH, that we're able to kind of shift movement of vehicles. The second reason, we get a lot of additional parking on the bridge is at an angle. So we are slightly improving available parking, and we're distributing it more throughout the site. So good news is I think that concern has been addressed.
Well, no, the free parking, that's it. When you guys show the bridge, there won't be parking parallel to it. Is that correct?
Correct, it won't be parallel, but on the north side, there'll be, what do you call it, slant-in parking, you know,
Jamie, I think she's asking about shoulder parking.
shoulder parking.
Yeah.
On the shoulder.
Right now, there's shoulder parking on
Yes.
the bridge.
Yeah,
But for 460 feet, there won't be that
no, there
parking.
will be shoulder parking.
There will or won't.
And will it be for a fee or will it be free?
So,
Shoulder parking is
Maybe-
free.
maybe Johnny.
Shoulder parking is free.
but the bridge doesn't show it, it just shows the bike lane.
I think
Okay,
it's
well,
not
the next,
showing.
my next real question is the lifeguard station and theoretically the helicopter could be implemented now because that land exists. You don't need to expand the bridge in order to do that, is that correct?
No. No.
So the question was, do you want to repeat the question?
The question was, could the helipad and the lifeguard station, could those changes essentially be implemented irregardless of the timing for the bridge and lagoon restoration?
Right.
Did I get that right? So could you,
So when I look at the design of that,
Yeah.
that's existing, empty, you know, it's just land right now.
The land does exist. One could put a helipad there now, but to do the restoration, there's a lot of reasons to do it as one project because of the grading. Rather than having multiple stages of a project, ideally you do one stage. But is there space now for a helipad? Yes, there is. But the project is proposing is a widened, longer bridge.
Well,
And so
also
at the
we-
breakout sessions, we'll have a chance to look and talk more detail about that.
If we were to move the lifeguard station to the position that's proposed without knocking down the fill on the west side of the creek, we would not have any visibility past that.
Oh, okay.
So when they talked about moving the station back, we definitely want to see the station moved back. That's a priority, just because we know we're going to lose it eventually. So putting it in a spot where it's going to exist for another 50, 60 years, whatever we can get out of it is a priority. When that was initially proposed, we had a lot of reluctance because of the sight lines towards the west. But we were told that the area where there's currently a little helispot that we will evacuate some trauma patients out of, that helispot area that currently blocks our view, if we were to move it back, would be removed. So yes, it could get moved back, but then the station would not be operational. So we wouldn't be able to use it in the...
But it can be moved back and at the height that it's at. If you're at that height, you can see.
Not over the berm that's built on the west side of the creek.
Are you planning on taking that berm out?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
so for time's sake, I do think we should start with the dispersing to the stations. But if you do have specific questions, again, we have representatives from all of the agencies around the room to ask some of the more specific technical things around grading, some of the emergency response. And then online too, we are looking at your questions on the Q&A, so we'll ask those both aloud in the room and have them answered for you online too. Online you will be breaking out as well into breakout rooms and having your facilitators do some one-on-ones with you. So we'll be back, I think probably in 20 minutes. Thank you all. All right, we're going to hear first from some of the takeaways here from Pierce College around the living shorelines. Jennifer, what were some of the things that you heard at your station?
A lot of trees, shrubs, plants. People who live, grow up here, they think this beach is kind of special and they want to keep it low-key and shabby. But they want the plants kind of dominate the beach, so we can enhance the ecology system, trees, shrubs, and plants. That's like the most highlight I get from everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. I also saw a few of the.
Did you say shabby? I like that.
We did hear shabby chic as a cool design theme, potentially, for the beach. And then if people are wrapping up conversations in the back, if you could just keep it down really quiet so we can hear folks up front. Rosie, you had something? Yeah.
So I think there are a couple of concerns about traffic and being able to evacuate from Malibu. And I just want to sort of reiterate that since we started this project in 1999, and there has always been the requirement that during construction, there will be 4 lanes open on PCH at all times. And if there is any red flag weather, any other times of danger, the road is going to be subject to the City of Malibu's emergency plan as well as the county's emergency plans. So the idea of making sure that there is no interruption or inability for people to get out of Malibu if that should be needed. That's always been a project requirement. And then the other question I think concerned the duration of time for the project. And I think that we are shooting for a 4-year construction window for the bridge. That may have to shift a little bit depending, 5 years, but at all times there will be emergency evacuation opportunities. Yeah.
Thanks. I have a question. How do you plan specifically to, I think the number that I had from last year, I don't know if it's right, but 250,000 cubic yards of dirt, filled dirt. How are you planning on getting it to point B?
So the 250 cubic yard material, 2,000 cubic yard material was based on alternative 2. Originally in the environment document, we have 3 proposed alternatives. The biggest one without any ranch motel is 250,000 cubic yards.
So is that the low end or the high end?
That's the high end. But the proposed alternative is 3A. That one has less material. It's about 150,000 cubic yards.
So call it 200. How are you getting it to point B? How are you getting it?
Very good question. So the construction sequence is the new bridge will be built first, and then the bridge is pretty high. The bottom of the bridge is like 26 above sea level. So after that is constructed, the material can be excavated from the east-west, and then truck can go under the bridge, and then drive to the near shore and place to the.
So basically, you're going to dump it at the low tide. High tide comes up, and it's just going to wash out.
No.
That's what I'm asking you.
Actually, it's not.
So
So
get to the ocean.
how to get it ocean?
Yes.
So there will be a pit or maybe a barge in play in that location. After the material being trucked to that location, it will mix with the seawater and then pipe to about a 15 to average about 20 feet of deep water.
Just so we can get to the rest of the questions too, we'll come back to this one maybe after hearing some of the takeaways from the rest of the groups. Madison, I wondered if you might be able to share out from the virtual group some of the key takeaways.
Yeah, which?
The living shoreline.
You want to start with living shorelines? All right, let me get my notes. All right, so some of the most important facts that came up from folks were protecting the surf and wave quality, maintaining public access and parking, protecting and enhancing the ecological resources, and preserving the natural character of the beach.
And Madison, are you sharing your screen? Just as a question. Yeah, that would be great.
All right, let's do it.
Without me. You see me in perpetuity.
Just use all my devices at one time. Let's see here. Let's see that way. All right, living shorelines. preserving the natural character of the beach while improving resilience to coastal changes. And most of the participants were supportive of restoration, but want reassurance that recreation access will not be compromised with any of these improvements.
Great, thank you. Let's move on to the Topanga Beach. Chantal was going to share here, and then Madison, you can share in just a minute. So at Topanga Beach Station, we had quite a few comments about wanted amenities, and I'll just list through some of the ones that I heard. Showers, if we could have them, or in the shower area, if we could have either lockers or racks for boarders so that they could leave their surfboard while they're showering there. Someone also said about a water bottle refill station. And then also additional shade in that area. I think someone noted that there at some point was a shade tree there. Now it may or may not be there anymore, or not to the extent that it was before. So additional shade would be appreciated. And then another comment that I got was just safety overall and the desire for there to be more law enforcement presence there at night specifically. Great, thanks Chantal. Madison? Thoughts from the online group?
Yeah, we actually heard about a few different things. So for the online group, some of the most visited places before and what places were most important to them, the businesses, previous businesses came up, as well as, some of the most popular activities were, surfing and just enjoying the nature, some bird watching and fishing. And then on some of the things that people usually do there, we heard from some folks that participate in some community events that bring seniors down to the beach and learn about how they use the site and, the importance of maintaining accessibility, improved, picnic facilities and those kinds of things that will make that experience still enjoyable in the future. And then also thinking about, different access to the site. The previous beach bus came up a few times and just how people get there, and then some features that people requested that might be added were, telescopes to look out towards the ocean, or, thinking about, surf cams that could be pointed at the surf so you could do a surf inspection from home as well. So some cool ads potentially.
Great, thank you. And what we did hear, as Chantal mentioned a bit about shade, there was support around trying to have the facilities essentially disappear. Some of the comments before the discussion around low impact materials and really improving the beach but keeping it the same, right? We want to enhance but essentially not lose what makes it special today. Our final station, Julie, you want to talk interp?
Hello, I'm Julia. At the interpretive station, I wish we had more visitors, but I had some really quality ones. I spoke to someone about how important surf culture is at this beach, that the surf culture here is very intergenerational. It's passed from older folks to younger folks and has been around for a really long time. And the connection between the surfers and the importance of stewardship, that surfers are some of the best stewards of this place, and that's a really important story to tell. I spoke with a gentleman who is an avid snorkeler at the site, and he spoke about how important it is to highlight what's under the sea. We talked about a bunch of different species that he sees regularly snorkeling. Garibaldi, he saw a school of barracuda not too long ago. Some really cool stuff that I actually didn't know was there. So I loved that conversation. I spoke to another couple of people about the importance of the lagoon environment and speaking to how it functions, how we protect it, how it's important for not just the environment at this site, but the entire coast of California, understanding both what's here and what might be missing that should be here. I loved that point. And then also spoke briefly about the importance of the indigenous people's stories of the site.
Thank you. That sounds small group, I guess, but it was really great information. So I loved all of that. Madison, what did we hear from those online?
Yeah, so the most important stories that people highlighted were thinking about the history of the site. So the surf community, which Julia just spoke about as well, and then also those indigenous stories were very important to folks. There's also interest in adding some sort of like historical markers to the site, and thinking about how we might engage local artisans to participate in that process and help design some of those features. And then lastly, there's participants that were interested in, the history of the canyon and how, that all connects to the beach and sharing that story at the beach.
Love that. All right. Well, I think we are at time. We do have a few wrap-up slides. Jamie, do you want to come back up? We'll share screen. Let's see. Fast forward.
All right, everybody, we're kind of at the closer. I just wanted to end this as what are our next steps? So we are at design. Depending on which portion of the project you're talking about, we're either reassessing conceptual for the state park portion, we're at 30% design for the Topanga Beach Visitor Services, and we're at 60-ish percent design for the Lagoon Bridge. Our next steps, if all continues to go well, and we find a little bit more funding for the design phase, we anticipate to complete the design in the winter of 2027. We anticipate having probably 1 to 2 more public meetings during kind of the next milestones to share with you how we've taken your feedback, taken other feedback from folks online, incorporated that into the design process. So look, if you haven't yet, make sure you get on our email list, and we'll keep you posted on as design progresses. And again, the earliest we would be going to construction would be early 2029.
How about reel in?
I don't have any feedback on the reel in. I know Parks is going through a recovery and planning process where they're looking at everything on State Park's property.
Gotcha.
So I have no information about the date.
I just want to say that, I never realized it quite as much as I do now, but you got between Malibu, Topanga, like the beach Topanga, Topanga community, the valley, Palisades, Santa Monica, Venice, that's like dead center where people can meet. It's actually obviously I don't know if the owners are interested or who's interested or what the deal is. I'm sure it's complicated, but if you could bring it back to simple, if people are, it's a great place where the community needs community. And
So what Greg is saying is that this location is the hub for a lot of folks, both locals and regional, to meet.
I never really thought of it that way, but I
So
think it is.
super support hearing that, and part of what we're trying to do through meetings like this is to reach out both locally and a little further afield to hear the different voices, to make this the best project possible. So I do want to invite you to please keep an eye on our website for updates, stay engaged, we want to hear your voices. And I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to do that. We will still be here for 10 to 15 minutes as we're cleaning up to provide an opportunity for any more questions and answers. But we're going to wrap the meeting up here, and want to thank everybody for their time. And I made the mistake, I did not shout out my colleagues, many of them here that have been a part of this project and helping make this a project today. Rosie Daggett, Clark Stevens, Jelly, Hannah, Tom, Kel Kingsmith. All of you that are involved with being here today, our partners, we want to thank you, and the public. Some of you come in a distance to be here. We really appreciate it. But if there are other questions that folks want to talk about, oh, you're coming.